Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. If you guys have been keeping up to date with my videos, you would know that I was pregnant with a beautiful baby boy who I gave birth to on the 2nd of January this year. So it's been about 8 weeks and he's settling in really well, and touch wood, so far he's a good sleeper, so I'm extremely lucky. But yeah, things are going really well. The reason I'm vlogging today, and I thought it might be interesting for you guys, is because in a couple of days we are going to be going on our first flight. This is probably a little bit earlier than what we would have liked, but my nan is actually turning 100 over in Australia, so we will be flying over to go visit her. She is extremely excited because this is her first great grandchild, so she's holding out to meet him and she cannot wait. So I thought, you know what? Let's do a vlog because I'm going to see how this goes, what works, what doesn't work, and I'm hoping that I have a little bit more insider knowledge because I am a flight attendant and I work on planes, and obviously I've dealt with a lot of babies, but also saying that, I have never been a mum myself, so this could just be a complete mess. But you know what, I thought, why not bring you guys along for the ride, and if it ends in tears, it ends in tears. But the reason I'm starting the vlog here today is because I have started packing. So let's have a look what I've done so far. So as we're just going for a weekend, the goal is to take carry-on and the nappy bag for all of us. So I just have my things in this little section here. I pretty much just have some gym gear, my running shoes, and my toiletries, and just an extra shirt and things to change into on the way home. Over here I just have my unmentionables, and then over here I have some of James's clothes and obviously a bunch of nappies. And then the goal is that David can use this section here to put his things in. This is my beautiful massive nappy bag, which I obviously have all of Jamie's things in, his change mat, his wet wipes, his diaper cream. We have this I carry wrap, which is what I plan to use at the airport because I have no intention of checking a stroller in. And yeah, it has his dummy and some bags and things for his dirty nappies, some hand sanitizers, that kind of thing. So we'll just chuck our essentials in here, and obviously it has everything that Jamie may need in the flight. So something I think is interesting to mention, just in case people haven't thought about this or were unfamiliar with the rules, but obviously with international travel, your liquids, aerosols and gels do need to be down to 100 ml. There is an exception for that, which is if you're traveling with like a baby or a child, you can carry over 100 ml in terms of like formula or breast milk, anything like that. And the amount is apparently subject to like the length of your flight. So you can take as much as you would need for that flight. So I did initially have the intention to pump and take my breast milk on board. But I honestly just decided that I just think that that's a lot of effort to go to and a little bit extra stress. And I think I will just feed him. It calms him down a lot, keeps him happy. And I think it's honestly going to be a lot easier and less stressful than worrying about the bottles and keeping them cold and all of that. So yeah, we're going to see how that goes. I'll obviously just cover and pray that I don't get middle seat, or it's going to be a little bit hard to breastfeed, I think, with a middle seat, because you do lose a little bit of that elbow room. But again, just going to see how it goes, completely open to this experience. The goal of it is just to not get stressed out. If it all goes haywire and ends up horrible, that's what happens. But the goal is to not get stressed, not let Jamie feel my stress. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But this is packing. We're leaving tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys again before we leave. Good morning, guys. It is bright and early. It is like 4 a.m. and we're on our way to the airport to hopefully go on this 6 a.m. flight over to Melbourne. It was a bright and early start for us, and thankfully Jamie has been an absolute pleasure and he's quite tired, so hopefully he's just going to fall asleep on the flight. But yeah, we're going to see how it goes. So hopefully, sorry it's so dark out, hopefully it's going to go all good, and Welcome back to Auckland. So we obviously have completed our trip. It was a very quick one. We flew over on Saturday, flew back on Sunday. So 2 flights in 2 days for baby James. But he honestly did amazing. The staff on all our flights were absolutely incredible. I mean, I obviously never have a bad experience, but I feel like they really went above and beyond, and I felt so special. And everyone was telling us how cute he was. On the way back, they did say that he's a very pretty girl. But I mean, hey, a compliment's a compliment, right? So obviously the purpose of this video was to go into some of the things that people may not think of when they're traveling with a baby, or just to help people anticipate their first trip and work out and plan how they want to do it. I feel lucky in the sense that obviously after working in airports and working as a flight attendant, I've been able to see parents and families traveling and kind of pick up the things that I think would work for our little family. So one of the first things I was definitely thinking about, obviously, which I already mentioned, was the lags. You are allowed to take extra liquid aerosols or gels, over 100 ml if it's to do with feeding your baby for the duration of that flight. There is no really set amount. Another thing that I thought of, obviously, I do think security can be quite stressful. So if you do take any form of baby carrier, which you could see I took the fabric style, it will have to come out off completely in security. So bulbs will have to come out, and even if it's just fabric or it's one with clips, it all has to come off to go through security. So if that is something that you're going to find quite stressful, it's just good to know to like anticipate that before you get to security, because it could just be an extra layer of stress. Obviously too, I think a really important thing to note is baggage. You guys could probably see that we didn't really take a lot of baggage. I know we were only going for a weekend, but yes, we didn't really take a lot. And honestly, I think that is a big area where a lot of parents get really stressed, because they end up with so many bags and so many little bags that they get stressed about forgetting them, remembering them, where they're going to go, and things like that. So I think if you can, obviously I was traveling with a newborn and I did decide to breastfeed instead of taking bottles to reduce that. When your child gets older, it is going to be more difficult. But at least I think for me and for our family, we're always going to try and travel like very minimally, especially with things that you've got to carry around the airport. I think anything that's a non-essential, just check in. So yeah, that was all pretty much leading up to the flight, which I found a little bit, that was definitely on my mind when I was packing or when I was getting ready for this trip. Now, next for the flight. Okay, so as I said, I was breastfeeding, so any of those breastfeeding mums out there, you would know it's not really the most comfortable thing to do, especially when you're in public, you're in maybe some uncomfortable chairs and things like that. So on this flight, I was traveling on a 737, so obviously, I guess the same as every aircraft, there's a window seat, a middle seat, and an aisle seat. So I was traveling in the window seat initially, which I will admit was my favorite. I could kind of prop my arm and baby James's head up on the side of like the window with the armrest. Is very comfortable. I obviously had a lot of privacy to breastfeed, and I would say that the flight went very, very well, and I couldn't have really asked for a better seat. Obviously, if you do need to get out, it is a little bit more difficult, but I would say that was definitely my preferred seat. The next one I did have on the return sector, me and David were actually sitting together, so I did have the choice of like an aisle with bubs or the middle seat. I did opt to do the middle seat just because when I have been crew and people do have babies, especially if the baby is tall like my James is, the feet or his head tend to go out into the aisle. So obviously when you're having carts and people walking past and things, this isn't really ideal. So I did actually opt to have the middle seat. This was not very comfortable. Obviously it was nice because I could, unfortunately for David, kind of like lean over his section a little bit. So I didn't have to worry about James's head getting hit or anything like that. But it was extremely hard to breastfeed. There just was not much room to breastfeed, and the gentleman in front of me actually kept pushing his chair back and then pulling it forward, but doing it quite aggressively. And at one point I was breastfeeding and I was leaning forward to try and like hide it, I guess, a little, and he pushed his chair back into my head quite aggressively. So I would definitely say if you are breastfeeding, if you can pre-book a seat, definitely try and get a window, because I definitely found that a lot easier and a lot more private. Next, when it came to the nappy change, I was actually pleasantly surprised because I know I've been on some aircraft and the change table is absolutely tiny. So on this one, it was actually quite large, which was pretty easy. And I did put all of my nappy change items into my like portable nappy change mat. I'll put a video of that in there now, but obviously everything was super easily accessible. I could grab up my diaper cream, my nappies, my wet wipes, everything, and I obviously didn't have to carry a lot of things down the aisle. It was just baby James and that one item. This obviously made it really easy to get in, lock the door, everything like that, because as we all know, I swear, aircraft bathrooms are getting smaller and smaller. So obviously having 2 of you in there and the change table down, it gets quite cramped. So again, you just don't want to take a lot of things in with you. The crew were actually incredible, and by the time I got to the bathroom, they had already put the change table down for me. Absolutely amazing, love that. It is something I always tried to do on board. I didn't know if it was a little bit like too much sometimes, but now being a new mom, I can tell that is honestly just such a little nicety that really kind of makes your trip a bit easier. But yeah, so these are the things. Obviously I did a very short flight. It was only about 4 hours, and it was on a smaller type of aircraft. Sometimes you'll have the wide body aircrafts, obviously, so you have a lot more access to bathrooms and you can kind of have a little bit more room to move around and things like that. And you also have options of things like bassinets on board, which honestly just seem like a dream idea to me now. So yeah, I really hope if any of you guys are ever going to travel with your babies or anything like that and you're feeling a bit nervous, that this video will help you feel a little bit better and help you maybe just feel a little bit more organized and prepared, which I know always makes me feel a lot more calm and less stressed. If you guys have any other questions or anything, please let me know, and it's been good to see you guys again. Bye.